Hey everyone, it's the Nitty Professor. I'm working here on my Christmas sweater with the 3 colors at a time rows, and one of you was asking me how I handle knitting with 3 colors, and the answer is it is definitely fiddly, but I have been figuring out as I go along a system that is kind of working, and I thought I would share that with you since you guys asked how I've been doing it. So I'm not the best at doing demo videos, but I'm going to give this a shot and hopefully not throw myself off while I'm trying to keep track of where my hands are on the camera. So the pattern, you can kind of see that and this repeat is green, red, green, and then a white, 2 greens, a white, 2 greens, a white, and a green, red, green. And one of the tricks is to keep the floats from getting terribly long. So I have to keep track, even when I'm not knitting with the red, I have to do a float in the white and the green area. And that's where it gets kind of fiddly. But we'll give this a go here. Yarn dominance is definitely an issue in color work. And there are times when I pay attention to it, but times when I don't. This is one project where I'm trying to be really careful about which yarn I hold in the back. So these next few stitches will just be green and white. So I hold the green yarn behind the white yarn. The white yarn is going to be on top. And that way the green, since I want it to stand out more, it's almost like using a bold font. When you adhere to the yarn dominance, keep the one in the back that you want to dominate. Now, those of you who do knit European style, this won't make any sense to you at all. And who knows, maybe it would be easier for me to do it that way. But as I get going here, I only have to do white and green for a few stitches. So I'm not even holding the red yarn. And we've got 2 green stitches coming up here, and then we have a white. So now I've done 5 stitches and I haven't touched the red. Now this is where I want to incorporate a red float. So somehow or other, this green I have to get going around the red. So I'm going to use my thumb. That's how I've been kind of doing it. And then on the next green stitch, this is my opportunity to make a float with the red. Have the green go back around. And I actually, in this case, I have it going around the red and the white, which doesn't hurt anything. I mean, I don't need to make a float with the white, but if it's caught in there, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to try to keep the white on top and the green and the red on the bottom. And now I have the green, and I've got to get my finger back underneath the red here. There we go. And also tension it so that we don't have a big dangling thing going on. Gonna have to retension my yarn here. And this yarn is thin, so when you've made one stitch and you try to separate the threads, it is very fiddly. All right, so there's one repeat. That came out pretty good. Now we'll try that again. And again, I'm gonna just ignore the red, pull out a little bit more yarn here for a few stitches. So that makes those few stitches easier. And a little tricky for me to look at my hands through the camera, but we're managing. Greens on the bottom, so white on top, green on the bottom. Use my middle finger to get that going through there. I'm a whiz at knitting with just 2 colors, but this 3-color stuff, it's challenging. Okay, I'm trying to get the red out of the way there. Now we're back to, I've gotten several stitches. I want to do a float with the red. So I'm going to pull this green around over top, just using my thumb, and works pretty decently. And then in the next stitch, pull it back around. I got to separate it. So this is where it gets fiddly. And I'm trying to keep track and really follow the whole yarn dominance question, keeping the white on top, for example. So I made that repeat. And now the tricky part, getting the yarn separated for my green, red, green. Come on. Yeah, it's definitely fiddly. And I feel like it's a matter of practice, for me to get comfortable with doing this. on let me get this repeat finished here. The previous row, separate the yarn, there we go. It was a little easier. I didn't have to worry so much about carrying a float when I was doing the, green, green, white, green, because there were few enough stitches in the various colors. I didn't have to worry about making a float, but that's where it gets kind of tricky, is trying to keep those floats going so that on the back, these floats here, I wouldn't want them any longer. You're going to catch stuff on that. So I'm trying to worry about yarn dominance, even stitches, long enough floats, keeping the pattern separate, the yarn not twisting, and sometimes I do have to go back and untwist the yarn balls from one another, especially with wool because it's sticky, right? But in any case, that's kind of how I've been managing it. If you have suggestions, that'd be great. Again, it'd be, you could double knit, right? You could just go back and knit the red stitches on top. But apart from trying to film this, I've been making it work well enough to want to keep going. And when I get out of this little section on the pattern, I'll have a lot fewer rows of red to worry with. So it's a limited number of rows that have the extra red yarn. So now I have to come back, get this green, bring it over the red, kind of just twist it through like that. So now I've got a green stitch, and then I want to have it go back underneath the red, so without getting the white in the way. And then we're back to a white stitch, try to get that on top. So in any case, definitely fiddly, definitely something that I'm not wanting to do 24/7. And again, I have no expectations of getting into the knitting guild, but this is how I've made it work. And as you can see, again, the result is beautiful. I mean, it's really, really pretty. So it's worth it to me. I've gotten, so far, here's my beginning of the row, gotten this far around. Pretty good. So yeah, so that's what I've been doing. I appreciate the question. I don't know if this has been illuminating or not, but it is possible to knit with 3 colors. I prefer knitting with 2, but I figure I'll get pretty good at this by the time my sweater's done in about a year. So you guys take care. I hope you have a really great start to your week. We'll talk soon. Bye.